Let's get cracking!
Welcome back, everybody, here to your awesome coverage of the Dota 2 Champions League. We are here for possibly the best game on the cards for tonight's night of Dota 2, and it is Speed Gaming going up against, I can't say Speed anymore, it's Cloud9 going up against Na'Vi. I'll be your host for tonight's stream, TobiWan. I am joined by a man who have just literally torn off the other stream. That was Clairvoyance, man. Let me give him some audio so he can say hello to the world. Greetings, Clairvoyance, and welcome to an awesome matchup.
Awesome matchup it is, Toby. I am ever so glad that I'm able to be here today, witnessing one of the biggest matches and possibly one of the most anticipated ones. You know, frankly, just as you said, speed gaming is no longer a reality. It is now Cloud9 Dota, and one of the things I'm most excited about this is the fact that on Join Dota, it specifically says that no recent results have been recorded for these two teams, and that's because ever since the transition of speed gaming to Cloud9 occurred, the big sponsor kicking in, there were actually no official matches. And that's the thing, like, for me, this is going to be a huge spectacle, a monumental match, because it's basically the first match for these guys with the new sponsors on the side of Cloud9 Gaming versus Nautilus Vincier, and certainly one of the most high profile matches that you could ask for in this current metagame. So, Toby, can you say that I'm excited?
I can say you're excited, man. I can say I'm excited. I can say we're all really excited. I'm pretty sure Cloud9's also going to be excited if they can take a win out of this. This is a best-of-3 matchup. And just to point out, too, where these teams are currently in the group, Team Liquid is sitting pretty at #1. They've got 2 wins and 1 loss. Na'Vi is hot in their tail. They've only played 2 of their games. Instead of Liquid, it's played 3. But Na'Vi haven't dropped a single game yet here in the Group 2. While Cloud9, they have played 1 game, and that was up against Team Liquid, and ended up losing that one 2-1. So Cloud9, they need to come out with a victory right now. Obviously, they're still going to play up against both PR as well as VP, but they're no certainty matches either. So every game must be a win right now. They need to knock Na'Vi down a peg as well. Don't let them go straight through into the semi-finals. Let's actually look quickly at the rosters too. So we'll flash up Na'Vi to start with while the draft is still going on. So Na'Vi, of course, a team mainly from Ukraine. They do, of course, have their one German player, which is Kuro, as well as their one Estonian, which is Puppy. But they do, actually, they speak English in this roster. They don't speak Ukrainian during the games. So there's no massive problem with that. Forst and Funnick and everyone are actually quite good at English. But this is our Na'Vi roster, of course. Everyone will know them from TI1 champions and TI2 and TI3 runners-up. So life can sometimes be hard. And then looking over here at Cloud9's roster, man, I think you know these guys better than anybody else in the casting scene.
Oh, absolutely. These guys, I have to always credit them for their understanding of the metagame, their vast knowledge, as well as the effort that these guys put in. You know, it's a well-known fact among the pro scene, or amongst, I guess, pro players really, is that Cloud9, one of the most assiduous teams out there, they practice every single day, or as much opportunities they can find. Of course, lately, I guess, things have changed around a little bit with the sponsorship as well as other politics being involved. But the other thing is that Na'Vi is actually a team that doesn't practice all that often. And I think the fan base as well as the public have a general slight awareness of that anyways, from tidbits of conversation bits here and there. But generally, yeah, Na'Vi's not exactly known for practicing. But honestly, can you really demand anything of them? These guys put out top performances on every single LAN tournament that they attend, and it's just an incredible team with unparalleled amounts of consistency when it comes to tier 1 performances. So not as been sure, they really speak for themselves on that regard. And Cloud9, on the other hand, yeah, slight underdogs here, but once again, such a huge sponsorship just coming into the play. This is really just a straight up high profile Dota 2 match, and I am just so excited. This is some Alliance Na'Vi level of stuff right here.
Oh man, I'm looking forward to having a game of that level. Let's look through our draft right now and see where both these teams are trying to focus their efforts, because I'm already seeing Cloud9, Bone7, has quite literally targeted Puppy during the first 2 bans. Both the Chen and the Enchantress being removed, so he doesn't want to have that high jungle option coming out from them, while Puppy's main focus at the start is over on the basic standard heroes, against Cloud9, that is. So the Invoker as well as the Visage will be removed out. But Bone7, he goes for a double melee start. It's a jumped-in initiation with that Eternal Envy lifestealer. But we have ourselves an Axe Bomb to kick us off.
Right. And I think it's a brilliant demonstration of the understanding between these two teams. The Life Stealer, normally, if you want to pick the Clockwork and the Life Stealer together, I don't always see it getting picked up both of them together because a lot of times with Clockwork, you want to secure yourself a very good support that can work in conjunction and actually secure the safe lane better. Because Life Stealer right now, he's actually not in the best state. I guess, especially against heroes like Timbersaw, he doesn't have an innate lockdown on him, and he can do fine in the lane because of how much damage he can put out and how much sustain he has as well.
Hmm.
But aside from all that, like it's not going to be easy for a Lifestealer to just retain presence, if you would, against a lot of stuns, such as a stun monster like Nyx Assassin. And and quite frankly, I think basically it comes down to the fact that if they don't pick up the Lifestealer so early, Navi can very well pick it. And Navi are just known to be Lifestealer monster players. Havost on that one position, putting the four people on its back a lot of times and making a lot of the big plays. Of course, I don't mean to take away from anything from Navi's rest of the roster. They all play absolutely amazing. But Havos Lifestealer is something to be reckoned with, so I can understand Cloud9's basis for that pick.
Yeah, I always have chills of a Force Lifesteal. There was a match about a year ago, and this is a guy that just... You wouldn't think he's been sitting up there farming, and sometimes really Havos flies under the radar, but he popped out like 18 minutes in walking around with an armlet and a heart, and you're like, wait, what the hell's going on here? You just can't underestimate, and you can't give him space. It's very similar to like a player which I don't think anyone's mentioned his name in a long time, but an ex-Mouse Sports player and then an ex-LGD International player, Black,
right?
Who you didn't really think much about. Until the entire community had said, wait, that guy's farming. And then everyone's just like, hey, yeah, he's really good at farming. And Havos is one of these guys, like, because he keeps throwing all the time, you never see his income being at some insane rate. Because he's a guy that, he sits back, he farms up, and then when it comes to the team fights, he takes the risks. And that's something which has always just pushed Na'Vi either over the edge or in front of the rest. And that's the ability to take those risks, have them pay off, or have them slap them back in the face. And Havos is normally the guy who's key in that. But there is definitely something about this Na'Vi lineup which is a lot more throttled than it used to be. And I think that really comes through with Puppey, Kuro, and Funnick. Like, Denny is one of the guys, too, that has a very... he doesn't have a suicidal nature like a Vorst, but he definitely tries to push the envelope a little bit more. But Funnick is this passive kind of guy. Like, he's always seeming to play the odds on the offlane. And then you got Kuro and Puppey. These guys have played together since the very... the dawn of Dota 1. These guys played together. That's why these guys don't have to practice as much, because their synergy they get between the two supports, Puppey and Kuro. And then Puppey and Denny have played together enough that they've got their synergy. Funny kind of blends his way into the lineup. It took him a while to get his groove in with this Na'Vi lineup, but he managed to hit it. And then you got Havos. Havos, who, after TI2, he really knuckled down and tried a hell of a lot harder. I remember I was watching his profile, like Na'Vi was meant to be on a 2-3 week break, and every single day he was there in matchmaking, just going through a match after match after match after match, and like practicing on certain heroes, and he really knuckled down and showed that he can be one of the best farmers out there. So now that we've managed to go through the whole Na'Vi roster, how are we looking now with the Shadow Shaman and AA coming up here for Cloud9?
Oh yeah, that apparition got picked up ever since you mentioned the chills on Lifestealer, and what can I say? It was just a perfect addition to the perfect cast on the perfect timing. But really, as I was talking about this prior to, if anybody was able to catch the previous match, basically in this game right now, some of the best scaling supports come in the form of the apparition, the Shadow Shaman, as well as the Visage. Of course, right now in this game specifically, one is banned, the other two is picked up by one team. And this is, for me, the definition and pretty much the epitome of greedy supports, because Shadow Shaman, as well as Rasta, if you would, as well as Ancient Apparition, these heroes, they don't actually kick in all that well until their ultimate comes online. It's not the same as a Venomancer or a Crystal Maiden, where they just have a huge power spike at level 1 or level 2, because the majority of their kit relies on being able to use these spells to secure early game kills. Now, while the Shadow Shaman could be argued that he can do that with the Shackle as well as the Disable coming out of the Hex, Apparition doesn't necessarily have that ability. He has to have a synergy with the Cold Snap, somebody has to slow him and lock down the targets, or he needs right clickers, mainly, most of the time, hopefully range hero right clickers that can take advantage of his chilling touch to the utmost degree in the early stages of the game. And quite honestly, I don't think Cloud9 has too much of that right now, Toby. I don't think they have too much synergy when it comes to a tri-lane versus tri-lane scenario, but they certainly have very, very strong individual heroes that'll innately allow them to kick into the mid lane game stages very strongly with their level 6 ultimates, with their spells, with their range of initiations. And Na'Vi trying to throttle that in their own ways by picking up the OD and attempting to shut down preemptively the potential mid lane about to come out.
Yeah, man, you hit it directly on the head. You talk about the early game weaknesses there from Cloud9 transition. It's great, but you still need to be able to survive the early laning stage. And Shadow Shaman and AA, yeah, you can wish them luck on the off lane, but it's not really going to get a kill. You even see Bone7 banning out the Faceless Void, because he knows, too, if you get any kind of farming up hero that has an escape mechanism and would work nicely up against the Lifestealer, then you're in trouble, because any major Void, I think, would have been the perfect pickup against Lifestealer.
Yeah.
I know a lot of teams have been also playing around with the Ursa recently to play him up against the Lifestealer. I know our Team Liquid was, in fact, doing that one. But right now, it could be anything Na'Vi want to have. It just has to make sure that that hero can, if he needs to, fight in the early point of this game. And if he doesn't want to, then hard farmer up, good transition into the early part of the mid game, and you're looking good for that. Because right now, Na'Vi, SF versus OD, it's going to be a fun, interesting battle to watch Sing Sing versus Dendi in the middle lane on that one. If it is going to be an aggressive tri lane by Cloud9, then we're going to see a Timbersaw versus a Clockwork. And I'm pretty sure Bone7 doesn't really want to have that matchup.
Oh yeah,
Nova, there's our good transition into the middle. Early farm, early presence in the lane, solid pick all around.
Oh yeah, certainly one of the best carries in this patch, if not the best. And honestly, as you said, Bone7 might not actually favor that Clockwork versus Timbersaw matchup. I've actually had the pleasure of practicing that matchup with him a couple times in the past, and it's a very interesting matchup too. It's like Timbersaw has to actually he has to play extremely aggressive on the Clockwork, because Clockwork, he has that solo killing potential no matter what the hero he's facing up against. Even if it's a direct strength hero counter like the Timbersaw, he can still use that battery assault. He can cog you up, and he can get slightly lucky and shut you down in the middle of your Timber Chain with the proccing of a mini stun. So a lot of things can go both ways. And quite honestly, I'm not too sure if it's going to be an aggressive tri lane though, just because if it's not just that matchup specifically, I'm not sure if you want to tri lane against Navi's tri lane. That Luna tri lane with the Crystal Maid as well as Nyx Assassin, you get caught out once, not even by a stun, you get caught out once out of position, and you're going to get completely taken advantage of, especially with squishies such as Rasta as well as Ancient Apparition.
Problem though is if you don't, then Na'Vi will sit back and they'll farm with the CM in the jungle, they'll farm with the Luna on the lane, and the Nyx will buy in the space they need by doing these pull points. All Na'Vi need to do is basically move as 3 or 4 on that bottom lane, make sure their camps don't get warded up, and they just pull and pull. Leave an aggressive ward on the lane, and C9 are going to find themselves something else surprise Na'Vi at all. I kind of feel like they've got to move down there as a full 5-man. In fact, they're already making a bit of a movement that way. And they need to secure Na'Vi's jungle if they're going to attempt this.
Yeah, right. And of course, as you said, if the Crystal Maiden staying off the map is going to provide them space and maneuverability, especially for a lane dominant hero like OD to keep his presence as the game progresses, the Shadow Fiend's certainly going to have a certain hard time. Because I was just actually talking with the boys last night with the addition of Balba, who just provided amazing insights, and it basically came down to, like, I asked at one point, like, why not Shadow Fiend as often as you guys? Because I honestly feel like that hero with a BKB counters up a lot of this metagame as a whole, and honestly, I think that's coming into demonstration right now as well. All of Navi's lineup have some sort of magical burst that they want to rely on to be able to initiate or secure a kill. Even OD, that's a hero that doesn't do that much damage against the BKB. He can't get his Arcane Orb through, his ultimate doesn't work, and all he can do is kind of imprison somebody or himself, or keep him outside of the fray until the BKB goes offline, and then he can go online and do some magic. But until then, BKB pretty much counters up the majority of Navi's roster, if not all, barring the Luna. So I was wondering about it, and it basically came down to the fact that right now in this metagame, the jungle Crystal Maiden being off the map is too much of a detrimental presence just by existing. If she's on the map and she's somewhere on the map not to be seen, she can apply pressure just by being existent. And the fact that she can be picked and have that threat of a random potential Frostbite or Crystal Nova is basically the next best thing to the previous patch Alchemist, who could have stunned you up at nighttime at 4 minutes and you wouldn't even know it.
Man, it's the reason why some people even banned it out in the first 2 up against Na'Vi. I can 100% understand it all. Right now, while we do have ourselves a pause, I just want to let everyone know, as we do here almost every night, in fact, it is every night here on the D2CL live stream, we give away free rares. We give away free rares to people. So if you head yourself over to one of the partners of this tournament, which is Dota2Lounge.com, and go into Dota2Lounge.com/giveaways, you'll be able to enter in the following code, and you'll find yourself with 10 rares. You will need an account to do so, though, but by having an account, you can bet your rares and see who comes out on top as far as this game goes. And it's actually, what's our... I'm wondering what's the percentage right now. And percentage is, in fact, from the Dota 2 Lounge bets, is 68% of people believe Na'Vi will take a victory out tonight. 32% of people are betting on Cloud9.
Mm-hmm. Those are quite staggering numbers in favor of Na'Vi, I have to say. Just under 70, but that's basically a 70-30 ratio. And I feel like there's not enough love for the underdogs here.
Yeah, considering you're also one of the guys that gives the most amount of loving to the underdogs.
Toby, what can I say, man? My heart always goes to the underdogs. I mean, Cloud9, pardon me. Cloud9 Gaming more specifically so, and I think my track record proves it one way or another. But really, though, against Na'Vi, it's always so interesting to see, especially if it's a high-profile Tier 1 team like Cloud9, if they can do the job, if they can do the work that's cut out in front of them, and secure the deal. It's always so nice to see the opportunity come to pass. And it's not that I'm hating on Na'Vi. Of course, Na'Vi's already made their contributions. They've already demonstrated the ability to accomplish these things, and they've already had like a lineup of achievements. Once again, as you called it at the very start with the introduction, TI1 winners, TI2 and 3 runner-up, possibly TI4 winners. They just have all of these things going for them, and it's always so amusing to see competition at this level.
Yeah, it's always great, man. For people who have loaded up that page, here is your code. The first person to get it in there receives 10 rares. So it is 4Z2X. And for people that pronounce it differently, 4Z2X.
Since when did you start catering to North America so well, man? You're an amazing dude.
Well, you can actually blame Next KZ, because it just sounds so much more fluent to say KZ instead of KZ.
True.
Because KZ is like, well, I don't know, Kazakhstan, yeah.
True. That's true.
Well, it looks like C9 are doing exactly what I was expecting them to do. They're going to try and contest this off lane. They're moving down in force, and they're coming in with their wards. They do not want Na'Vi to have these camps at all. But also look at Na'Vi. They've switched their lanes up here. So what they've done is they're going to throw a Vorst in the middle lane with the Luna, and then push Dendy towards the bottom lane, and probably rely on its Astral Imprisonment to save players. Maybe like Puppy, who is very, very close. He is.
Yeah. That's a very fragile Crystal Maiden. In the range of a Nyx Assassin as well as other things, she will be eaten alive. And Puppy, of course, he has the awareness and the experience of a trillion ages to come, backing him up and saying, I'm not going up that hill until the creep wave is about to spawn, because by that point, if you're investing your hero still, you're going to be late to your lanes. And here it is, the harassment.
Yeah, Puppy and Owie just going to say hello to each other at the very, very start. I think Puppy really wanted to do that, though. Because even though he's going to, he's going to lose out in his camps now, which means he won't have to use his mana on the creeps anyway. They're going to do a dual lane instead. But yeah, it's still something he wouldn't have really wanted to do this early on. I also want to say very, very quickly too, guys, we are aware, it's been reported Dailymotion that ads for some unknown reason will just run during the middle of the game. It is not intentional. It is a bug inside of Dailymotion right now, and hopefully they get it fixed shortly. But yeah, for now, we ask you to just bear with us.
Now, interesting to note that Eternal Envy, no hesitation at top lane, has gone for the Feast at level 1. No real surprises either. I mean, you want to be able to harass and try to zone out the Timbersaw the best way you can in this 2v1 situation, because that reactive armor does counter up the Feast nicely, amongst other things what that Lifestealer brings, which is basically right clicks. And I feel like Funnick's going to be pretty content, even though he's taking a small bit of harassment right now and Lifestealer's demonstrating his sustain. Funnick should be very well off in this lane. And in particular, I guess the biggest story is at mid lane.
Yeah.
That AA Chilling Touch, that's going to guarantee Shadow Fiend some early CS and very coveted CS.
The crazy thing is too, this is something which which we saw Roskiss attempt. And I say attempt because it really did not end up going well at all. In fact, it was Goldblack just sitting on that AA behind the mid, and they tried to do it with a puck instead of an SF just to ensure those early last hits in for the mid lane. But with a hero like an SF, this is real danger zone because now AA, like he's expended his mana, he'll come up at almost the perfect time to stack up this camp, and once these stacks start happening, you get an injection of gold for the SF, which brings more power to C9's mid game. And Avor so far has been crippled. He's 4-1 up against a 6-for-4 hero in the mid lane. It's just not a fun time for him. And Kura can only mana burn down Sing Sing, but that doesn't really matter at all. Because a mana burn doesn't affect Sing Sing right now. All he's looking for is last hits. He can pick up a bottle and then he'll get his mana back. He can stop Owie for a little bit, but that's also, it's negligible.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was curious about this trade as a whole. And I understand Navi's notion is that if Crystal Main is inside the jungle, once again, he's hidden and he can apply this kind of pressure if he's rotating into the lane. But honestly, with OD and Crystal Maiden, to be quite frank with you, there's just not enough damage to kill a hero like Clockwork in the early stages of the game. So honestly, I feel like the Crystal Maiden babysitting the Luna would have been a lot better. She can actually trade right clicks with the Shadow Fiend and create a scenario where she gets the advantage by dropping a nice time Frostbite. This Nyx Assassin at the mid lane, no matter how great he is with his early game spells and the mana burn, like as you said, he cancels out the apparition, gets the haste rune at top, but what then? He is a Nyx Assassin with a poor man's shield. He's not going to take harassment by the Shadow Fiend because Shadow Fiend is not going to care about him so long as he has no mana. And lo and behold, Toby, the Nyx Assassin, after 2 casts of that mana burn, has no potentials for an impale. He has one now, but there's no killing potential with Havos being so low on life points.
Yep. This is just a passive. This is a passive start to the early game, which is kind of hilarious considering we were saying during the drafting stage that Na'Vi were the ones who meant to be having the advantage for that, and then transitioning into the later portion of the game. But something we should still keep in mind is, yes, Bone 7's getting farmed down here in the bottom lane, but so is Dendy. And you're getting OD, who's getting solo experience down here on the bottom lane, with a potential to kill up a little bit later on. You're looking good when he's able to rotate in. And you can't really control up an OD. Like, this guy builds 4-staff as well as mech, and then your initial damage is not really going to do much, and you won't be able to lock him down. And then you got Havorst and Kuro. Kuro, while, yeah, right now, well, hello top lane, that's giving me first blood right now. Funnick, oh, he missed his attack. Paradise will trigger off the salve, and he'll lose the salve as well. But Funnick just, he tried to stutter step it out.
Yeah, and look at how cocky Pi is actually playing. He's completely aware that he's much slower than Funnick because Funnick has the boots and his movement speed around the Rasta is naturally one of the slowest in the game. But decides to just linger around, knowing that the Tango as well as the passive regen he's getting is going to give him enough time to create a distance so long as Funnick begins to engage. And I guess he was kind of trying to bait out spells as well because Funnick is really low on mana. And of course, the less mana he has, the more potential that C9 has to put out aggression and actually secure a kill. But speaking of securing kills, Havos has picked up the bottle and got the illusion. I guess that's not going to help him too much in that regard, but
it's helping the whole mid lane. It's helping the whole mid lane because you saw it when Kuro was just a little bit off mana, and of course with the new changes to the bottle, you can just do it on your nearby ally heroes without having to switch the bottle back and forth and do all that kind of jazz. Right. So yeah, this is when bottles just keep lanes running. That's all it needs to do as well. I do love the fact, though, the puppy's net worth is going to be absolutely nothing. In fact, it's 577 right now, only because of the gold that he owns. Because all he's got is clarity on him. It's almost very similar to the Ancient Apparition, who's got two branches right now, and Shadow Shaman, who just denied himself off to the neutrals. So, not first blood missed, just denied off to neutrals.
That's right, yeah, deny is the perfect word. I mean, C9, they pretty much, quote-unquote, invented this or really introduced it competitive to the point where it gets a high usage. Now,
because they were the guys who were known as KP with a deny off like 3 heroes all at the same time.
Yeah.
It was like, why?
That's right.
We want to get back to base.
Free trip, man. You gotta take the freebies as much as you can get. Now, Dendy just drops the Astral. I gotta say, though, specifically pertaining to Dendy, this is a game where the OD absolutely must maintain an advantage. And I know, of course, in general, you can assume that OD can do that more or less depending on where he's put and the lane matchup that he has. But this is one of those games, once again, BKBs coming out of C9 as well as their damage and their power spike at level 6 just due to the support ultimates as well as the ultimates of Clockwork. it's just so scary for the OD to face up against that. I feel like he has to get a Midas this game. Dandy, this game, he's going to have to play passive. If he's playing in this lane against a hero like Clockwork, Bone7, who's known to leave the lane at level 6 and try to gank up the mid lane, he most certainly wants a Midas. He most certainly wants to take as much as he can get from the laning phase itself and delay it as long as possible as the
he doesn't look like he's building into that, though, because if you're going to do that, you get like basic boots, but he's built into tread. So this is more down the lines of be it drums, be it full stuff, be it mech, be it these things to start with. And I got a funny feeling, like I actually agree with OD, like I agree with the whole also passiveness needs to stay in front, but then he's also going to be ready to fight when Sing Sing's going to pop out of that jungle in a moment, and he'll have 4 points up in his raise. He's already got 28 souls nicely stored up. The bottle will come back out, to be a full ready to go, and then he's going to be ready to fight.
Absolutely.
If they're not Sing 9's just going to melt down their towers. Shadow Shaman's just got to find his level 6, and they add Mass Serpent Wards to that fight.
Yeah, it's a scary scenario because just as you said, I mean, he's definitely prepared to fight. Any OD can fight at level 6, of course. He has a huge power spike with the Sanity Eclipse. He can 100-0 many targets depending on the Astral stacks he has.
Here's your rotation.
But at the same time, yeah, with this kind of rotation coming in, if they actually secure that kill on Dendi, because he didn't go for a Midas, what's going to end up happening is he's actually going to be so behind on his mech progression. And it might still be relatively early, but what's going to happen is it's going to be delayed because he's, as a safe laner, he just needs it so urgently. You have to get that advantage that you're given at the start.
Dendi, hexed up, hook shot in from the side. 1 raise, 2 raise. And easy first blood for C9 on the bottom lane. You called it perfectly, man. A sweet, easy rotation. At the same time in middle lane, Aui's getting killed off behind, or almost behind this tier 2 town, which is forcing a TP response in. And it's going to be, to start with, Eternal Envy going on Kuro. The Spy Carapace is there, so Sing Sing actually doesn't stun himself up properly. Kuro turns for the double stun, but he'll lose his life diving underneath that tower.
Yeah, a huge trade going in favor of C9 for sure. Sing Sing actually got both those kills that he had committed to. That's going to help him so much in terms of getting a slight surge to his item progression, which is probably going to be the BKB first item.
Lane.
And once again, top lane, Aoi 2000 getting initiated. Now Funnick has to retreat.
His 8 points of reactive armor, at least keeping him alive for now. But he's going to chain and TP himself away to safety, which is the right thing to do. With Envy moving up there too, he really was sitting on the edge of his life.
Right. But this is just the efficiency of C9's rotations. Once again, Aoi, on the brink of death there, was able to survive, so that's the most important story here. But at the same time, forcing the Timbersaw out of lane that much, now what ends up happening is Kuroki, after dying, he's rotated himself to top lane, but what is he going to accomplish out of this? And you know what, he's actually doing the best thing he can that not a lot of players would do at this point, which is actually pulling at 8-9 minutes into the game. And this is going to deny a little bit of creepy XP and get the lane equilibrium kind of established once again by the time Funnick returns, and that is just the most supportive thing you can do right now.
What's the hilarious thing is, this is exactly what C9 did about a minute ago, which was when Shadow Shaman pulled the Radiant creep wave up so they could try and attack on Puppey underneath the tower too. So everyone's playing with the creep momentum.
Yeah, just high-level Dotas all around. Just the understanding of these guys. It's the demonstration. We can never really see it and fully understand it. As much as I hate to put it that way, sometimes it's just the brilliance of these guys and the experience they have amongst each other. It's really beyond just the regular spectator's point of view. But it's nevertheless a beauty of its own. We
have another rotation right now. Pilot Eye and Bone7 ready to try and gank up here on the middle lane. So again, it'll be the same 3-man combination. So hook shot into razors. They used the Hex to initiate before onto Dendi.
Oh my goodness.
They got revealed.
Yeah, that angle that Puppey was standing on, that could not have been any more fortuitous. It just, you know that bottom rune board right there?
Hook shot.
Caught him at the edge. But
they've come in. There will be a frostbite pretty quickly, but a Vorce is caught in here. But in comes Funny. He's been pushed back by the Cogs, but the Whirling Death to be close enough to get a revenge kill here on Bone7. Chains through. He's got Sharkum off cooldown. Throws it up the hill to get it. But they do still bring down the mid-solo of Vorst.
Yet again, a worthy trade. I mean, what else could you ask for at that point? I mean, possibly Bone7 could have gotten out of the engagement, but this mid lane SF, 10 minutes and 30 into the game, he's sitting at 73 CS, 3-0-0. You want to talk about a snowballing Shadow Fiend against a hero like OD who he wasn't laning against? This is pretty much the prime definition of it, Toby, right now. It's prime time Shadow Fiend.
And he's going to find more space. Look at him coming towards the mid lane. Attempts 1 raise was way too short of Kuro. But I'm also watching this top lane where Shadow Shaman's rotated up here with Eternal Envy. trying to force a response on this top lane, which they're going to get. Vorst and Puppey now move up with the TP coming into Lifesteal into the Rage, and they can't stop him. Inside the Rage, they can't imprison, they can't already use the Lucent Beam, and can't Frostbite.
That was a very quick reaction on him too. Notice how he killed the enemy creep wave, so there was actually nothing in proximity for him to infest. His support was already way gone, saying, "You're on your own, buddy." And of course, needless to say, he was able to do it on his own and get out of that exchange. So with that maximum level of rage, pretty convenient with that TP, especially when nothing's able to cancel it in this game.
You got your answer right now on Dendi. The full mech is completed. So no hand of minus coming out from them, but with the Vorst and Dendi both up here on the top lane, they're going to force a reaction here from Cloud9, and that's almost making space, because you watch Funnick. Now, Funnick's walking around with Arcane Boots already, and you also note Puppey's build, a 1-1-3-1. So we got 3 points up into that aura for the Crystal Maiden. He wants to make sure Funnick is able to fight and fight all the time. Same with Kuro. We got 2 Arcane Boots already up here from Na'Vi. These guys, with the Essence Aura on top of that, should never be out of mana. Ever.
Pretty much.
And they're going to 5 mana, apart from Funnick in the mid. So 4-1. 4-1 split. Kuro uses his Vendetta for the first time, looking for a kill, and top lane is where they're going to find it. But they're also going to find Lifestealer as well as SF sitting up here, while the supports are chilling in the mid lane. And they've both got TP coming off cooldown for Pyolite Eye. They've both got ultimates up and ready to fight. This could be a really bad fight. Oh, they tried to trap him.
Oh,
the
no,
wards go down. He tried to get the Hex off as well onto the Timbersaw and hold him there. The AEL just going to come up towards the top lane, and this is going to be a time right now. Envy's going to show himself. And the ulti, well, it's going to hit on top of Puppey. He should shatter right now if there's enough damage. Same with a Vorst. He'll go down to start with. Puppey's in the corner, hiding in there. And Sing Sing, there's your Clockwork Rocket, takes the kill from him. But 2 euros on the sidelines. Kuro's pulled the creep wave and has gone rogue.
Yeah, he pretty much has. Now, this is very interesting. A lot of these scenarios where these wild goose chases happen, it's actually not that bad on the side of the people that are getting chased. Now, granted, Crow is level 7, so he's gonna give up a lot of VXP.
He's gonna wait 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Oh, the shackles! They got cancelled. Spy Carapace turns for a stun, and now hits Vendetta, and he gets a kill on Shadow Shaman. So,
very nice.
So 3 heroes chase him, and he gets the kill on the Shadow Shaman.
Yeah, and quite frankly, can you say Space Made, man? Honestly, you're forcing these heroes to rotate in, invest their mana, and he actually got a kill out of that. So that was actually a worthy commitment overall. It's just he made the best situation out of no situation. But unfortunately for him, the result is that Shadow Fiend getting free reign over the other places because Nixus hasn't being present on the map, as well as the top lane aggression being shut down in such a orderly fashion. Sing Sing has BKB 14 minutes into the game. I'm not too sure what they can do to stop him, but if they want to pick him off, they have to smoke, they have to invest a lot of spells and a lot of heroes, because otherwise this guy's going to turn on you with the ample number of supports coming out of C9.
Yeah, this is just going to get rough, dude. This is going to get really rough. Bottom lane, Denny's backing up right now is Bone 7 as well as Pyolite Eye. This is another reason, too, why Kuro used the Vendetta to get the kill, because he realized the 2 sentry wards sitting on the AA as well as the Shadow Shaman. So he knew there was no way out to safety. But Na'Vi can have a second poke. They're coming back in for the top lane.
Yeah, they have to. They absolutely need a tower right now and to maintain map control. It's the best time of the game for them. It is nighttime, and Luna has that extra vision, as well as the Timbersaw just being so mobile and so tanky too.
Oh, Envy! He just denied the tower. Now Rage TP, and they wish they had something that would go through a BKB, or in this case, just Magic Immunity.
Yeah, and honestly, that's really the least of their concerns, to be completely honest, because yeah, the Lifestealer getting out of those kind of situations, it's rough for them. But to be fair, if he didn't have that, MD most likely wouldn't be there in the first place. He's a player that relies on a lot of calculations and to be quite frank, minimal risks. And I think that was just a good demonstration of it, how he just saved the tower for the deny on at the latest point possible, so they don't actually get the 100 gold. They've actually told me that's what they do, and it's pretty try hard, but you know, it wins games, or it contributes to the winning, and I'm sure the efficiency matters. So
well, the efficiency was perfect, because at the same time you had Shadow Shaman with the Mana Serpent was taking up the tier 1 tower in the bottom lane, so you get your own tower denied, and you get to take one yourself and know there is no denial. You'd go with that. Like, map control or not, you lose out in that much gold, you prefer not to try and take those kind of trades. And now Na'Vi are all 5 men, and this may be the only way they can secure that tier 1 tower in the middle lane. Sing Sing's just playing silly buggers on the edge of the cliff, but he's ready to go with a 10-second BKB. Yeah, you're seeing Na'Vi, they don't want to be there. Havorst goes down because he needs to keep farming. Havorst is now, he's not finished his BKB. He's got a Mithril Hammer coming out in the Courier right now, but he's still recipe away from having that BKB up and running.
Yeah, this is just the power of what towers and map control in general do. I mean, Havorst, he didn't do very well in this lane. He's sitting at 0-2-2, and quite honestly, with that many supports and not supports, pardon me, with that many assists on a core hero, not necessarily kills, it's just a devastating situation to be put into, especially when you're on the mid lane. So you couldn't just return to the safe lane and rotate for a safety or a guaranteed series of farming. But speaking of rotations in which, Bone 7.
He's looking for a Vorst right now. But this time they're only coming with Pylite Eye as well as Bone 7. But with the Mass Serpent Wards now coming off cooldown, they should have enough damage here. And Pylite Eye, Frostbite, stops him from getting the Mass Serpent Wards off instantly. And he doesn't get himself a perfect lock-in. Vorst trying to do some kind of DPS here. As Kuro runs out, Timbersaw runs straight in, and there's an instant assassination over on the Shadow Shaman. And the question is, can they get close enough to get this on Bone 7? The Chakram slows him down a little bit, and now with another Timber Chain up, Puppy, Frostbite, there is the Blade Mail coming up, so Funnick, he's not 100% sure he wants to kill him off straight away, does the job, and then chains himself away from Sing Sing, but Sing Sing walking around the corners. Another chain, this time through Owie, out of range of Sing Sing. Owie chilling, touching himself, so he tries to get enough DPS to kill off Funnick, but he's such a slippery little sucker running away here on the bottom lane. One race, too short, and Funnick uses his last point of mana to hit possibly the furthest tree he could grab, and is back behind his tier 2 tower and into safety.
Wow. That was very minimal, but I have to point out that that was just Funnick being Funnick, honestly. Not a lot of players would have actually dropped the Chakram, completely being aware that the Blade Mill would return everything to you in the same form of the pure damage.
Yep.
But also, most players in that situation, after you get hit by a raise and a second raise would guarantee your death, you would try to juke around the trees and kind of like, I guess for example, he was kind of going downwards. He could have moved up towards the secret shop on the two isolated trees and TP'd out of vision. Have Sing Sing guessing, and if Sing Sing got lucky, he would have gotten the kill. But no, this is Funnick. Now, Toby, Funnick, he will guarantee himself the survival, and he will Timber Chain away with the little bit of mana he has against the Apparition, against the threat of the Shadow Fiend raise, and he will get out of it, just as you said, in a slippery fashion. That was just a fantastic demonstration of individual skill right there.
And because he's done that now, he'll be able to walk up here, afford up his Perseverance, and this Bloodstone is almost completed now for Funnick. And this is never-ending mana. Like, he's sitting at 4 mana regeneration right now. We add in the Perseverance, he sits at 6.3 at all times. And this is still being buffed up by that level 3 aura from the Krulston Maiden, adding the bonus 2 to everybody as well. So, yeah. We're basically looking at Na'Vi sitting in a rather firm position, but not 100%. Sing Sing is still bloody big. He's still 4 for 0, and now he's going to turn. BKB it up, hook shot in perfectly, holding a Vorst out. The Force up being used by Denny, but it pushes a Vorst deeper into problems, and now Denny can't use it on himself. Sing Sing will take the double kill in the middle lane, and C9, they've just had a huge opening. Even with Timber Chain coming up, Funnick, you're be crazy. He's lucky there's no extra mana here on Pylite Eye. He'll chain himself back down towards the tower. A quick Chakram behind, but they give Sing Sing a triple kill in way too deep there at the end. The Timbersaw for a brilliant play on the bottom lane. C9 will now take the tier 2 tower in the mid with no contest.
Oh, of course, and no contest. It has to be. I mean, the roster awards dropping now to guarantee the commitment now. Honestly, I feel like C9, they could have gotten extra greedy here, taken the tower and used the roster awards to do Roshan.
Oh, Puppy!
Puppy completely caught out, honestly. I guess he was getting too ambitious in the whole yeah, it's an early GG call. You know what? I can't disagree. Once again, the scaling of the supports on C9. When you do so well in the mid-early game stages and you have a Shadow Fiend that can just resolve all of this, then Navi's draft as a whole completely falls apart because they weren't able to secure the towers in the nighttime situations they had created for themselves, especially at the top lane. The first engagement there, Funnick was able to push out the mid lane as well as the bottom lane, rotated in. I'm not too sure if he actually rotated it in, but basically they just lost the majority of their cores as well as their heroes, and it completely fell apart. And slowly, little by little, I think Navi they have understood that this game is running out of their reach, and I don't blame them too much for the early call. I do think it was a slightly bit early, but looking at the game's progression so far, Toby, I think C9 had this game in the bag.
I think they were just looking at a Shadow Fiend saying, well, he's already got 4 kills, and then we give him 3, and then we come in for a denial of the tower, and it's like we then give him 1 more.
One more.
Yeah, the SF was at a point where no one was at any position where they could stop him. Luna couldn't fight directly. OD wasn't transitioning well into anything. Like, we didn't even see a single Eclipse come out from either Luna or OD. There was just never the opportunity. C9 shut them down perfectly. How will it go in game number 2, though? We'll find out, people, because this is not over yet. It is a best of 3. So we'll see how Na'Vi can go up against Cloud9 in game number 2 of the best of 3 from the Dota 2 Champions League.